All right, guys, here we go. Set number 1 of the first game in the semifinals. This is RefornGaming versus EL Gaming. And like we said, there's that one weird SPG and all the T-54s.
Yeah. So two T-32s actually for Reforn on the attack. That's pretty rare. You don't usually see attacking teams take the T-32s. No, actually it's because the overlay is wrong and Reforn is on the defense. So I take it back. So it makes more sense now that they would have 2 T-32s because that's more standard meta. We've seen that in Korea a lot.
All right, well, here we go. We can see here, oh, this is exciting. I've never watched Reforn play before. And you can see that Reforn is going to go ahead.
Okay, look at this. So what we're seeing here is Elong actually pushing around the right side towards the second capture point. And Reforn's defense setup is a little bit different than what you would normally see in our APAC Asia League, because normally you see them spread up around the north in the top right. Right,
around the spawn point, but right now everyone is spreading out right around the base capture. This is very different, and already we're going to get some shots exchanged. You already taking quite a bit of damage, and he's going to have to pull back away.
Absolutely. On that T-37, you can't take a lot of abuse. You know, it's definitely one of those tanks you need to protect, but does get some good scouting information here. Now, Elong is setting up to attack here, but Reforn is still in a solid defensive position right now. Okay, it looks like we do have 9-9 just going down south. He's going to try to scout out from behind, and while they're doing that, though, Elong already have 3 tanks in this one base. They're in base capture number 2. 23 seconds left on the clock. Right now, Reforn needs to collapse on that base capture. It's absolutely essential for them to do that at this point in time. Now you can see Fox is up on the high ground giving a lot of support fire. And 99 is able to perhaps snipe that SU-8. That would be so nice. Gosh, that would be really nice. Black is taking quite some damage right now, though. They are going back and forth. Baby takes some damage as well. Oh gosh, and they are the base capture keeps going down low. It's getting low, but they're just getting reset. Wang in a good position here now, and they're actually going to have to retreat. A hit point lead right now for Elong Gaming, but 2 kills as well. Baby and M1 are going to go down. They are down already now, and now we can see here EL is definitely has the advantage here. He's going to go ahead and try to get Wang from... Oh, 2 kills though, Black and Spring fall, and this is a really scary moment. Nice looks like he's going to fall as well. And this could actually give Reforn a chance to come back in this game. Oh, wow. 99 is just going to try to take that close counter hit right there. Just outmaneuvering him. Oh, that was perfect. Right outside the line of fire. Yeah. All right, so at this point, Elong takes a lot of hits, and they have to actually either eliminate or capture this base, and there goes 99. There goes 99. Okay, this is an important moment. Can they get Adam? Yes, Adam is definitely going to go down. Adam down to 5. No, he's down to 17 HP. He's still alive, though. He's still alive, and that's important. And it's 4 tanks to 2 right now. He's going to try to hide behind the husk of one of his fallen teammates. It is for 4v2. And Reflection is still alive, so you can actually still give some cover fire here. Can you believe that? Reflection with 5 HP on him. I feel like the strategy here for Reforn might just simply be to survive, you know, and not actually try to eliminate the Elong tanks, because if they can live for 3 minutes and 30 more seconds, they'll be able to take this, but they've only got 2 tanks left, and this is going to be so difficult to do, especially because Fox... Oh, gosh. Fox is in such a good position on the high ground. Everyone is down so low. Adam finally goes down. Guan Ren goes down. Yu, however, falls as well. Now we have BN versus Reflection. Okay. Oh, my gosh. He has to run. Oh, but he doesn't. And Reforn takes game number 1. This is a close game. Fox's positioning so important up there on the high ground. Without him, that would not have been able to happen, but it was also a risk, because had that last member been able to escape, then Fox would have been up there on the high ground. It would have been so hard for him to chase. But it was a very close game, very back and forth that battle. That was pretty awesome. Wow. So, Elong just playing so sick in that game, in that moment, but still such a close fight overall. All right. I think... all right, the graphics kind of messed up. The graphics were messed up in that game. Definitely messed up. It's definitely confusing me, but the best thing to do in this moment, if you're watching this and you're confused, is just simply to look at the player names, because that'll make sure that you're kind of knowing what's going on. All right, Elong definitely showing us
that they are the dominant team here. But you know what? I'm not going to... that was the first game. And usually in a first game, what we have is the two teams feeling each other out, right? And what better map than Steps to be able to do that?
Yeah.
Where you have such a large, just a large terrain, and you could basically do whatever you want.
All right. Another thing I want to talk about is no more SU8. Probably not happening, right? That definitely didn't really work out for them. It was kind of a sitting duck, did not do much damage. I would love to see the stats on that one, but it definitely didn't give them what they wanted. However, some of the success that Elong had in this game was just simply because, luckily for them, you know, Reforn was in the wrong place at the wrong time, whereas it allowed them to get to that second capture point. I feel like we're going to see a better setup defensively in this second game that we go into here.
I sure hope so too, and hopefully the mod settings, Elong should be in blue, Reforn in the red.
Yes, and, I see it in the observer mod settings down on my screen. I think it's correct this time.
I hope so too. That was a little confusing.
That was a bit tricky for sure. Just, you know, for those of you watching, if it gets confusing, just simply look at the player names. That's definitely going to be the way that you'll know for sure, because the names are not wrong. I can tell you that much for sure.
Yes, the names are always correct. And this is really exciting, Wolf. Like I said, this is the first time I'm casting up on this stage.
Yeah, it's kind of a newer thing for me, just simply because my first cast on this stage was actually the Heroes of the Storm just a few weeks ago. But there's so much actual history in this studio from all the way back to the beginnings of competitive esports TV shows.
Absolutely.
The best shows have been made here, and now these players who no doubt are very familiar with OGN's production, also like might even be like fans of the old you know, Brood War tournaments, things like that. They actually get to stand on this esports stage and be tested at the highest level of World of Tanks right now. It's got to be this sick feeling of excitement. Like, these guys are just playing a game, but at the same time, there's 100 fans in front of us right now in the studio, thousands watching online.
There's actually people standing in the back right now because we've run out of seats.
This is on TV. Like, this is on real television. Like, this is live on TV right now. These guys are celebrities. They are the best World of Tanks gamers in Asia, and they want to prove themselves.
Absolutely. And anyway, so yeah, so that was game number one.
Right.
I think right now the teams are kind of testing tanks again, just making sure that everything is right. We can see in both booths they have people coming in and talking to. This is actually really interesting also because it's not online anymore. Like they are literally sitting right there and there. And whatever technical difficulties they have, we have people on staff just go ahead and help
Absolutely.
them out.
Just probably making sure the observer mod stuff is all correct, so they want to do a test game. Also during this time, the players have to pick their tanks again, because this is done kind of like a blind pick sort of thing, so that's why we saw it kind of, the tanks slowly filled in. This is not like your other games where there's a ban phase or anything like that. Tanks can't be banned, or IS-3 be banned every game, or T-54 be banned every game. Then we'd have some crazy tanks, and it would be just too complicated.
So the fans right now, actually, you guys can't see it, but they are all given these like
there they are.
Awesome. Yeah, look at that. Look at these awesome. What are these towels? World of Tanks towels.
Scarves, towels,
no,
something
but they
like
look
that.
like towel material. But it's
you know,
so
I'd
awesome.
hang it in my bathroom. I'd dry my hands on it.
I want one.
So,
it's so cool.
You know, just to give you guys some like information, we're talking about tank picks, and you know how many tanks are picked in this league. The IS-3 tank is the #1 picked tank at 360 picks. Second most picked being the T-54 at 247 times. So 360 times in this league alone, IS-3s are picked. By far the most important tank in this league right now. Obviously on steps, not so much. But we have some people.
Imagine they ever like did something where you can't like see the tanks anymore. Like I mean, you can like ban a tank.
Yeah, that would be crazy. All right, so we're getting ready to do this one. This might be a test game we're going into before we go into these picks. So just be patient, everybody.
Ooh,
in just a moment, we're going to have the picks.
I think this is it. We've got 120 seconds to go ahead and pick these tanks. We are on steps again. This is game number 2. And we're going to have to see what they decide to do here.
Reforn already starting to lock in some tanks. 2 T-54s, a T-32. This might look exactly the same as what we saw last game. I don't think we're going to see the SU-8, though. I think that was kind of an idea, or maybe they were showing some confidence, something like that. But it definitely did not work out for them.
Oh,
but
an
IS-3 gets locked in, though. That's pretty unique. I was just talking about sometimes we see this tank teched into the map kind of as an extra beefier tank that can help you hold the capture point. And it looks like that's what we're going to see here. T-37.
Oh, and the SU-8 again.
Yeah, and I don't know about this pick, but a T-32 as well. We're seeing the T-37 for Reforn yet again. So that's going to be the difference there. you know, the SU-8 is a pretty fast tank, so it's possible that they just like using it for its mobility and its extra utility.
It does. It's got a good high gun arc, high ammo capacity, and it's got good range, but it's just it's really not that inaccurate of a tank.
Sure.
I mean, yes, I understand it's just a SPG, you're just shooting out loud anyway, but
it's interesting to see this sort of play as well on the attack. You would expect something like this to normally be used on the defense, but let's keep in mind, you know, that this is their plan. They're like the best team in Asia, so they probably know what they're doing. It's just a really surprising pick. I'm just really shocked by this one.
Okay, all right, well, let's see. So EL Gaming, again, with they only changed it up by having an IS-3 in this lineup from the first game. So we're going to have to go ahead and see how this is going to work out for them.
Yeah, so we're just having our test game still going on right now, but it's going to be finished in just a moment. Everything seems to be sort of settled up and fine. But EL, looking really, really strong already in this series. But you know, the first game wasn't easy. They're bringing this SU-8 in there. It's kind of their own stylistic thing. We saw in our interviews earlier, are we going to be seeing like teams like EL Gaming actually use a different, you know, unique type of tank, a weird pick? Someone's on steps. We've seen, you know, players. At first, it seemed crazy when they pushed the tank up to the top of the hill.
The RU-251 up the...
It seemed like a crazy thing to do. Why are they doing this? It doesn't make any sense. But eventually you start to understand, like, oh, this does make sense. But then teams were doing that every game. Now we're not seeing it. Does that mean that their teams are trying to be less predictable? There's all sorts of little mind games that go into a tournament like this.
That is true. I'm just wondering how... I question how effective that SU-8, however, was.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like it really made that much of an impact in that first game. But you know what? Maybe they just didn't play it out right, and we'll be able to see something better with it this time around.
It was definitely a strange game overall, you know what I mean? Like, it was a game where simply they went straight to capture point 2. Their opponents went to the other capture point, expecting them to push that direction, and then everything kind of went haywire from there. So the game definitely didn't go, I feel, as either team planned. It's one of those weird, funny things that happens on this map sometimes in game 1 before the players actually know exactly how their opponents are going to be playing the series. Now going into game 2, it's kind of like testing the water finally on this side, and then you can switch sides, of course, and attack and defense.
All right, so it looks like we're going to go right into game number 2. So hold on to your chairs. Here we go into game number 2. Alrighty, here we go. Set number 2 between EL Gaming versus RG, RefornGaming, and the observer screen is now correct.
Yeah, everything is
EL
fixed.
is definitely on the red side. Reforn is on the blue side.
Everything is fixed, so fear not, especially the newer players. That might have been really confusing. But all right, so they're going to run with this SU-8 again on their final attack set going into this map. And they are pushing again towards that second capture point. However, Reforn is forming up in the same way that you would expect to see these Asian teams setting up, except that they're pushing towards the capture point instead of creating an arc.
Okay.
So it looks like they're kind of trying to directly counter the movements that we saw from Elong in the previous set.
Okay, so EL Gaming right now, they're all bunched up together, as you guys can see here on the main screen. This is a little different from what we've seen, especially from an attacking team. EL doesn't really like to bunch up like this.
Yeah, EL definitely playing this one a little bit different than you'd expect. They're kind of pushing their way towards this as a big ball. And this is what you would see them do against maybe a team like Run, but not so much against Reforn.
Oh,
Shots
gosh,
fired.
They are coming in.
They're actually just charging in right now. And already 99 has taken some damage.
Oh, this is not good. This is just a straight up crossfire right now. You just see EL is going to rush right in. RefornGaming, this is not good for them. They've already lost a member of their team, and just...
I mean, it's all right, so they lost their T-37. Or no, they actually haven't lost their T-37. They lost their T-54. The T-37 is out of position, but it is trying to hunt down that SU-8, which is giving some great cover fire here, but it's not adding up too much. M1.
It is not. BM does go down here. We can see M1 is going to go down. They are way too scattered. EL Gaming is so good at being together. And you know what? They're picking off tanks one by one. Reforn, oh gosh.
There, down he goes. He does fall.
Okay, Reflection finally does go down, but you know what? At what cost right now?
Well, EL Gaming in about a 1,500 hit point lead right now. And obviously they have a tank lead at 5-4. This game isn't over yet, but look at Nice's position on this cliff with the T-32.
Oh gosh, using the terrain for his advantage. This is really, really good. Baby is going to get focus fire down, and Wang is left, but not for much longer, as we have Spring just going to come by and see if he can help put in that little final shot there.
And now EL Gaming with this really, really strong lead, and they should be able to close this out.
That was I mean, wow.
I mean, let me get this straight for you guys as JY tries to survive with 47 hit points. EL just charged in. There goes JY, so a second win does go to EL before we actually switch sides, but they charged in with one less tank than their opponents, okay, and still won the fight. They did not have the SU-8. Now, that being said, the T-37 of Reforn was also a bit out of position, but did come back, take out that SPG. Still, better control, better focus fire by EL Gaming. You saw them take out the T-37, the most vulnerable tank. First of all, they just kind of focused tanks down one by one until they had such an advantage that they could not be defeated.
Yeah, I mean, the way I saw it, it was EL Gaming just worked together as a pack. Much, much better. They were almost like horsemen in a way, you know?
Yeah.
They were just running together as a pack, and so no tank was left behind, and no tank could just get picked off. Unfortunately for Reforn, they were just, like you said, they were out of position, and they were just very vulnerable. And when you're facing up against a team like EL Gaming, you can't have that.
Yeah. And they basically just got outgunned in a straight-up 6v6 tank shootout. Exactly. And this is kind of Elong's way of playing steps. One of the maps they're the strongest on. When they went to the World Finals, they ended up losing in the finals, but they changed the meta. They changed the way this map was played, especially in Asia. It's all about the T-54s now, and they are really good at using them.
Yeah, they are. I mean, did you see the benefit of having the IS-3 there this game, though? Yeah,
I mean, I would say yes and no. It was definitely not essential in that fight, but it definitely allowed them to bully that fight a lot better. The SU-8 gave some support fire, but it wasn't massive, so I'm not a huge fan of the SU-8 still. Let's see if they use it now that we were switching sides and EL is going to be on the defense.
Yes, so now we have EL Gaming is going to be on the defense, Reforn going to be on the attack, and we could see here maybe Reforn might do a crazy aggressive move again. We're going to have to wait and see. Already EL Gaming, we're going to show us what they usually do, the T-54 lightweights.
Yeah, T-54, 4 of them locked in. The last 3 tanks still a bit up in the air. Reforn only going to lock that T-32. They've been doing this pretty consistently. They really like to pick their T-32 first. So if you guys are new to World of Tanks, I guess is the best time to tell you guys that it's two games on the attack side, then you switch over to defense. That's 4 games on that map. Then you go to the second map and do the same thing. The only time you go to a 9th game is if it goes to a game 9 if it's tied 4-4. Then you go to a third, entirely different map with a coin flip to the side who's on the home side, and they get to choose their side.
Okay, and in case you guys don't know, this T-32 tank that we keep talking about, it is an American Tier 8 heavy tank. It is heavy. It does go slower. However, it has amazing gun depression.
Yep.
So it's really good for this map because you can utilize the terrain, hide the rest of your body, but just use the turret to go up and down and be able to shoot your opponents. And that's one of the reasons why we see the T-32 on this map more often.
Especially on the defense, because there's a lot of little bumps and hills. Now, something that Elong is doing here, they're picking up that 12 ton, so EL Gaming can use this 12 ton now to actually add some extra damage. It's a small, lightweight, Tier 6 auto-loader tank, so it can do a lot of extra damage, but it's very fragile. So, if you can if this tank survives from a distance and does extra damage, it can be a big game decider because, in a sense, it's somewhat more powerful than a T-54 at sustained damage. But if it dies, it doesn't matter. It's all gone. So you have to be really careful with how you use it. It's usually a scout, and then it comes back into the fight to clean up the tanks that are almost destroyed. I
have to go ahead and say that I much prefer the 12-ton here than I do the SU-8. I think SPGs basically on steps is just useless. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a pro player. Maybe they have different ideas, but...
Sure. I mean, we've never seen it before. I don't think it's been very effective.
No.
But I like this pick instead. They're on the defense, so that might be part of it. Let's go to game 3.
All right, guys, like Wolf said, this is set number 3, and now we have EL Gaming on the defense. They have swapped sides, and here are our tank list.
Yep, here they are. So Black is going to be on the IS-3, no surprise there. And Reflection again, bringing up the tier 6. Nice again on the T-32. And of course for Reform, we've got Baby and Wong on the T-32s like we saw before. And they're still rocking the T-37, which is not a bad choice.
It is not. The T-37, guys, unlike the T-32, is the tier 6 light tank, basically. Yep. It's a good filler tank. It's just kind of like the least terrible tier 6 tank, I suppose.
Sure.
That's not an autoloader, anyway. All right, so already here we can see RefornGaming is going to hug the western side of the map. And, yeah, EL Gaming is going to get into that typical position for defense that we have been seeing all throughout the season.
Yeah.
And that's where all the teams are at the spawning point. They don't move, but they have a good view of both base captures 1 and 2, and so they're just going to stay there, utilize their T-32s to see if they can pick off anyone.
Absolutely. Now, what's really interesting about this is EL Gaming is going to, again, use what's standard in this position, whereas they're using the SU-8 on the attack, which is a bit weird. And Reform is kind of trying to reinvent the wheel. Now, you look at how most of the Asian teams played, our 8 APAC Asia Gold League teams, if you look at how they played, they kind of modeled themselves after EL Gaming, whereas Reform kind of does their own thing, which I think is really cool, because they're coming from another region like EL Gaming, but they play very differently.
Absolutely. I mean, that makes total sense. EL Gaming knows how this region, well, Asia region, plays, and Reform has been playing with a bunch of different Chinese teams. Makes sense. All right, here we go. We could see Reform is going to head over into the railroad track area, which is quite open, and I'm not sure if that's a really good choice for them. They are shooting crazily, though. They are letting the other team know exactly where their location is through these shots, even though they're not hitting anyone.
Sure. It's, you know, kind of trying to mess with that sixth sense, you know, send off some noise pollution, if you will. Shot of Reflection there, and you actually in this particular game on the T-37.
Me who, what? Anyway, all right, we got EL Gaming. They are going to get out of that location that they were camping earlier and head over to the east. They had a feeling Reform was going to come up that way, and they did, following that train track up north. So here you could see all the T-34s. They're just going to leave and just go around, take the long route around to the first base capture. But
notice the T-32 positioning again. Notice how little damage Baby took on his actual turret. Very little damage is actually sustained when you're sitting on top.
Oh, shoot. Okay, Reflection finally
does
get picked off. However, like you said about Baby in the T-32, he was in a perfect position to hit him. But you know what? There's going to be 4 T-54s coming up this road.
Here they come. And everyone is split apart.
Gosh,
now,
here comes the cavalry.
EL
Baby's going to have to be so careful.
He doesn't know.
No,
and now
he
he's
does
getting
not.
hit from behind.
And that is focus fired by 4 different techs. He is going to, there's nothing he can do.
Down he goes, and this is going to be the strategy here for EL Gaming, is to pick these tanks off one by one.
Wow.
Reform has time to get ready, though. 99 in good position on the high ground.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so now EL Gaming really needs to be able to avoid these, and I think they're going to have to focus fire down, but they are taking a ton of damage.
Yeah.
BM is going to chase them from behind. Remember, it's another T-54. They're just as fast, and now they are surrounded. This does not look good for EL Gaming.
No, they've got very little room to work with here, trying now Adam to hide behind this rock. And Guan Ren trying to take a shot across at BM. It's not going to happen. 99 eats some damage. A great shot there. And, you know, this fight has kind of evened out a little bit. In fact, EL Gaming taking a hit point lead. Well, briefly there.
Briefly, but you know what? They have definitely overextended themselves. Guan Ren is taking a bunch of damage. He cannot leave this husk of a... Oh, okay, well, he tried, and M1 does take him down.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind that at this point, EL Gaming still might be able to win if they can escape. I just don't see escape as an option. The only tank that they have that's far away is Nice, and unfortunately Nice is already spotted, so he's also in a T-32. He's not going to be able to run very easily. This game should be closed out in the next few moments by Reform to take their first win in this series.
Oh, gosh.
There goes
Nice.
Spring.
Yeah, Spring is down. Nice is the last man standing on this T-32. I mean, there's really nothing. Oh.
Look at how good he is regardless. 2 minutes and 12 seconds he has to survive. and also then deny base capture. Looks like they're just going to start capturing the base.
Yeah, no,
just to be sure.
I think JY is just going to try to come and finish this job off.
JY could actually lose this fight.
It doesn't even matter if he does. There's still 4 more tanks for RefornGaming, plus the base capture is happening. I think he's just going to try to zip around. Yes, utilize the fact that he's a light tank and take him out.
So Reforn playing a sick game there.
That was...
okay, the fight they took was really solid. They also just got basically an early lead. And then at that point, EL Gaming was... They basically struggled to stay together, and they had to make a play. So what they did was they brought their 4 T-54s that were left alive and then tried to target these tanks down one by one. They ran into a T-32 from behind and destroyed it almost instantly. But then what happened next was that Reforn had enough time to form a defense, get set up, and then at that point, EL Gaming tried to retreat, at which point they took too many hits. And then the next fight that they were forced to take, they just didn't have enough really staying power. They just got blown up. You know, they were weakened, and they took a bad fight, but there was no good fight to take. There was no good fight to take. I mean, I thought it was a great idea for EL to go ahead and try to, you know, zip through the middle there, but that middle road is so dangerous because you're so open to being shot at. You have nothing to hide around, and Reforn did a really good job utilizing that. They did lose a tank early on, but then they managed to surround the rest, you know, the little pack that came attack them and decide to take them out. That was very well done by RefornGaming. All right, well, this is going to be
that's Reflection, that guy. Reflection,
the one that we keep seeing on camera. Seems to kind of be one of the playmakers and shot callers, I should say. This is going to be our last game on steps, I believe. This is going to be game 4. It's the last time we're going to see this map before we go into our second map, and the sides are, of course, swapped and everything else. Yep, and we're going to be able to see how, I mean, yeah, I want to see if Reforn's going to go even more aggressive this time, or we'll have to take a look. It is game number 4. Baby with that stylish headset. I love how he wears that headset. I should try that at home. I could be as cool as Baby. I feel like it takes a certain type of person to do that. I just can't. I can't. The anti-Baby here as well, the backwards. The more hair you have, I think you need to wear it back more. Sure. Maybe that's the key. Yeah. Well, I wear headsets part of my living, and I always have to make sure I tell my stylist and whatnot to put the hair down, otherwise it's just not going to be a good time with that headset on. You have no idea the gripe girls go through with headsets. I really don't, and I'm so glad I don't. It's awful. I see you do it every day, and I'm like, this is just not for me. I'm glad I was born a man. Okay, let's go into our finals. All right, let's stop talking. Let's watch our final map, our final steps tank picks. 4 T-54s insta-locked for EL. And an IS-3 again. An IS-3 again. We have a 59-16. A little bit more mobility on that one. The Chinese like to use their own tanks. You know, it's really funny. So the 59-16, in case you guys don't know, is the Chinese Tier 6 lightweight tank. It's basically the Chinese version of the T-37, if you want to get like super technical. No, it's a 5-round autoloader too, so it's more like a 12-ton. Right, I guess it's like, it is an autoloader, so it's got that 12-ton sort of feel to it. So but size-wise, I guess it's more like T-37. It just seems funny because it's almost like, what, EL Gaming's going to use an autoloader? So are we. But we're going to go with the Chinese ones, home to the motherland, you know? Yeah, it's true. Whereas even though EL Gaming is Chinese themselves, they're like, no, we only do standard things. Chinese pride on the line, but more standard picks here for EL. So, T-32s, we've got 1 apiece for each team. The IS-3 teched in here again, which means EL Gaming is going to have a little bit more staying power in a fight the longer the fight goes, because obviously the IS-3 has more hit points, got more armor. It is going to outlast some of these you know, lightweight tanks like the T-54, like these T-37s, the 12 tons, and the 59-16s. That is absolutely correct. All right, this is going to be the final game on steps for this match. A win here for Reforn would tie the score, kind of essentially resetting things going into the next map. A win for EL Gaming would make them feel more comfortable going into the next map. Well, we don't even know what the next map is. They didn't even let us know what it is. It might not have been vetoed yet. We don't actually know. I know. So, all right, well, here we go. They're pretty similar, and again, with the T-54s, I mean, there's not much more to say about that. Steps equals T-54s, right? Absolutely. I mean, it's the most popular pick on the map. It looks like the game is ready to start, Susie.
It sure does, and we are going to go ahead into game number 4. All right, guys. Last game on steps. We have EL Gaming versus RefornGaming, 2 Chinese teams, and Elong is up 2 on the defense once again.
I like that Reflection, the shot caller, is the one who rides the tier 6 because he's going to be able to, he's the one who gets information with that 12-ton and then can convey that information quickly to his team to have them make the best choice based on that information because he knows the game really well, he's quite experienced. And, you know, it looks like a YU going to be doing the same thing on the other side of things on Reforn. Let's see how they decide to set this one up. EL Gaming going for the same sort of, like, arc that they always set up next to that high ground.
This is pretty standard. Again, they're probably having the same opening as they did the last game that we saw. Just kind of chilling out over at their spawn site, make sure they just have a good view of base captures 1 and 2, but they don't want to make any sudden movements just yet. Remember, they're on the defense, and the clock runs for them, not against them.
Yeah, it's what I like to call, for those tuning into the broadcast, the Wolf saying is, the clock on defense is your 8th tank. It's something that works with you and only works against your opponent.
All right, this is interesting. I mean, we can see Reforn just shooting blind shots. They kind of want EL Gaming to know where they are, or at least pretend to be where they are, you know, so that they can maybe
It's basically a mind game, right?
Yeah.
They want them to think that they're somewhere where they're not, or they want them to think there's more than one tank there, or that an engagement's about to start, so they try to move and they might get out of position.
All right, Nice's sixth sense has gone off, as has Baby's, and like they both know exactly where they don't know where they are, but they can feel that there is a tank around them. Black now has it as well. Reflection has been so quiet. He does not want anyone to know that he is hiding in that bush.
Yeah.
And finally, EL Gaming does take their first shot. Wang is utilizing the railroad tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. And now 99 comes to join him. So it's going to be somewhat of a split push, if you will, towards this first capture point. Some coming from the track side, most coming from the center. The T-32, of course, coming from the center as well, using that terrain to their advantage. If Reflection gets spotted here, he will be taken out in a second.
All right, the way that the tanks are, this is actually kind of great. We have EL Gaming on the east side of the map, in perfect defense position, and now we have Reforn in 2 different groups, one at the railroads and one down towards the main road. And it looks like they want to split push this somehow.
Oh, they found Reflection with a blind shot here.
Oh, they did.
And now he's exposed. Oh, that was so close. One more shot, a good shot will actually do it. And he's got nowhere to run at this point. He's just trying to wiggle here, trying to avoid damage, and trying to make sure they get a good shot on him.
He can't even hide inside that bush anymore. They're going to know exactly where he is, but he's just going to have to be very, very careful. Wang, again, using this high ground here. He's just going to hide the rest of his body and use his turret to try to take out these members, but...
Yeah. Well, again, the clock working for EL Gaming at this point.
It is 4 minutes left.
Yeah, once you get to about 3:20, that's when you really start to worry about, do we have enough time to rotate if we're going to move to a different capture position? That's when things start to get a bit scary. But they are slowly gaining ground here towards that capture point.
Oh, gosh. Okay, yeah, they are. And right now already, nobody, you can see here almost everyone is at full health. I mean, obviously, the Band-Aids are on, but...
Sure.
Oh, Reflection does go down. The 99 does take that first kill.
Pretty impressive to see him survive that long after being spotted. Again, just speaks volumes to how good these players are on EL Gaming. Now, we're going to see Nice actually try to challenge Wang here, and it's coming from the side with support fire as well. Looks like Wang will actually fall slowly but surely.
Yep, and there he goes. Nice is able to finish off that job and hide behind this hill. He's gonna have to be careful though. Obviously, Reforn knows where he is.
Yeah. Okay, this is a good, actually this is a great rotation by EL. They're going to try to come around here and take some pot shots from the north, and then they'll be formed up for a fight if need be. Otherwise, they can just rotate back and let the clock run out. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left on the clock right now.
Base capture down to 65 at this point, but it is only you on the 59-16 right now in that base.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's going to last longer. He's going to need more people in there. Now we can see here, Elong, again, EL Gaming really is doing the whole group together strategy quite a lot.
BM looks like he might be poised to join the capture, but Yu dies, and so BM decides not to. And EL Gaming now with a massive hit point lead, and now taking out Baby, putting them actually at a 2-tank lead as well. And with 2 minutes on the clock, I mean, Reforn really needs to make something happen here.
Yep, 2 minutes on the clock. That 8th tank is really coming in handy for EL Gaming. Look at Spring just hugging that line. That's the map line, guys. If you go past that, that's no good. Yeah,
that's no man's land. You don't want to stay out there. You can ride the edge of it, but you definitely don't want to stay out there for very long.
He's just living dangerously, that Spring, with 39 HP, and he's just riding that line, trying to do damage. Look at this guy. What?
It looks like Reforn is going to take one last charge at this. I don't think this is going to work, but it is their best shot, I would say, at this point.
This is their kamikaze run, guys. We have the 2 T-54s. They're going to just try to go in, see if they can pick off members, but I don't think that's going to happen. All right, Spring does go down, but you know what? Right now, it is a 4v2.
With an IS-3 as well, you know?
They're just going to surround these tanks. It's almost like a suicide run. BM, goodbye.
And if this if Reforn was on the defense, I'd say they still have a shot at this, but because they're on the attack, they have to win a fight. And it's just going to be so difficult to do with these lightweight tanks versus this setup defense here.
He is able to take down Nice. It is a 4v3. Technically, they can do this if they're able to shoot perfectly and accurately. But you know what?
Guan Ren's going to go for the ram.
Oh, gosh.
And there he goes. And now JY in such a dangerous spot. M1 with 98 hit points left. And I think this is going to be the beginning of the end,
I was going to say, and both tanks going down at the same time. EL is going to go ahead and take game number 4.
Yeah, that's going to put them at a 3-1 lead, which means that, you know, we're not starting map 2 on equal footing. So anything could happen here.
I know.
And I worry about Reforn. You know, they said in their interviews that teamwork is the most important thing. That's how they play. It's just that they need to play better. You know, their movements are smart. Their setups are good. Their decision-making makes sense. It just feels like it takes them a bit too long to do it, or their accuracy is just not on point like EL Gaming's is. Everything they're doing is correct. It's just a little bit too slow. Well, we do have confirmation now that the second map is going to be Ghost Town.
Ooh.
Spooky.
Spooky. I really do like Ghost Town. It's going to be completely different from Steps, as obviously there's going to be more buildings in between, and you know, that school building that you really like. Yeah,
there's a lot of really cool strategies on this map as well, and the defender usually has you know, a lot of trouble figuring out what the attacker is going to do. It's one of those maps where if you choose the right setup for defense versus a strategy you expect, you could defend easily. But if you guess wrong, you know, sometimes we've seen mind games with like lightweight tanks or tanks you would think would push the top cap and then they push the middle, because the tank picks alone lead the defense to believe that they're going to be going for a certain strategy, but they've actually been tricked. So it's really, especially game 1 on Ghost Town, is always a very scary thing.
Oh gosh, yeah. Ghost Town, game number 1. We have yet to find out who is going to be on the defense first. This is, I mean, to me, this is one of those maps. I think the attacking side has more of an advantage.
Yeah, I agree. It's an inherent advantage because when you are choosing which way to go, your opponent has no idea. It's really hard to scout the very early steps of it. All right, let's go into our tank picks here. Now, if we see 2 T-32s on the attacking side, which I believe is going to be Elong in this case.
Oh, wow, look at all those IS-3s. All right, it's the IS-3 party, guys.
It's time. They do bring a T-32 with those IS-3s, so we could be seeing them go for the northern capture point. 250-100s, totally standard. It's time for the autoloaders.
Oh, boy.
And a 12-ton, no crazy SPG. It's not obelisk in the booth.
That's the next set.
That's coming next. I'm so excited.
Dude, when I shook his hand today, like, I felt the power of the best arty in the world just surge through me, man. All right, look at this. It looks pretty similar as of right now. Reforn might go ahead. If they take the T-32 and the AMX 12-ton, then that's going to be a mirror matchup, like we said.
Sure.
But again, the attacking team definitely has the advantage to me. Like
I agree. I personally feel the attacking team has this inherent edge because say you want to rush the middle capture point. It's tough to set up against that. Oh, Walker Bulldog.
Oh, a Bulldog.
Cool. 2 Bulldogs coming in. No LTTB, just double Bulldog.
Interesting. So, guys, the Bulldog are tier 7s. So the way you could pick your tanks is basically all tier 8s, and then you could have like 1 tier 6, or you could do all tier 8s and then 2 tier 7s. Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 8s and 2 7s, or 6 8s and 1 6. If that makes any sense. If you're new, that probably just confused you like crazy. Sorry about it. But you'll start to get the hang of it. But you cannot have 7 tier 8s.
Yeah.
You can either have 7 and 1 6, or 6 and 2 7s. That sounds weird,
yes,
but that's how it works.
It makes sense. So the Walker Bulldog, for you guys who don't know, American tier 7 light tank. It is a 10-round autoloader, and it's only got like a 20-second cooldown before it's reloaded again. And so this is a really good utility. It's like the most used tier 7 tank, basically.
Yeah.
It's a very high autoloader burst damage, excellent mobility. I'm really excited to see it on Ghost Town.
There is some Rebel you can use the T-32 with in the middle of the city, but it's usually used at the top capture point in the north, where you actually sit in the capture point with the T-32 in a defensive position with IS-3s backing you up. We'll see how they want to play this. This is usually a 4 IS-3 map, but both teams actually cutting it down, bringing a specialist tank into this, essentially, if you will. So, excited to see how EL Gaming decides to play this one. So much potential for different strategies, and they're going to be starting on the attack side, I believe, based on what I'm seeing on my observing PC. So they're going to be the one to set the pace here in this first map.
Yeah.
Going to this. They also have a 2-point lead. The score is 3-1.
It is 3-1, and you know what? One more win will give EL so much confidence, because all we need is 5 wins here. You know, like we said, this is a best of 8, first to 5.
Yep.
But here we go, game number 5. All right, guys, EL Gaming versus RefornGaming, set number 5. First game on this map. This is Ghost Town, everyone, and EL is up 3 games and on the attack. Okay, so let's talk about one thing really quick as these teams set up. One of the scary parts for Reforn right now is, remember we talked about this map is slightly attack favored. Because EL got that 3-point lead, this is always what you want. It means that there might be a chance that we don't even see Reforn be able to be on the attack side. If they lose 2 games in a row, that's it. That's it. Oh, gosh. Okay. Scary to think about, isn't it? Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Let's just... I'm like, it's getting spooky on Ghost Town. It's not even that. It's just I am so surprised at the way that RefornGaming is moving right now. They sent the 2 Bulldogs to go down south. I have never seen this before. Okay, I think I get this. Okay. The Bulldogs are the 5100 assassins. They want to assassinate the 5100s or knock one of them out of commission if possible, because oftentimes you see those 5100s kind of lag behind back here where it's safe while the rest of the tanks push towards one of the capture points. Oh, gosh, but you know what? They know that they're there. And, oh, Spring is doing a beautiful job. They want to get rid of these Bulldogs as soon as possible. Yeah, it's funny. The tables are turned. The Bulldogs, I believe, were looking for the 5100s, but as it turns out, the 5100s were the ones who actually took the shots. Wow. So a big lead here for EL already, but they're not on the capture point yet, and they've taken quite a bit of time to get into position. They're starting to look more like a Korean match on this map, to be totally frank. Oh, there goes Nice. Oh, Nice does go down. I mean, the fact that there's so much fighting going on away from the base capture points, this is really interesting. This is very, very new. We have one of the Walker Bulldogs that is still not touched, going to come around and take some shots here. Yeah, see if he could avoid them. But I think Baby's going to be able to take... RG, 99 over there, going to go down. It looks like Fox wants the last shot, but no! BM was waiting for him on the high ground up on the school building side. That's what friends are for. However, EL Gaming significantly down in hit points now. It looks like we might lose Guan Ren. JY, though, under fire. JY is under fire, and as of right now, guys, it looks like Reform is
They're poised to take it. It looks like
all their autoloaders are definitely on the reload timer now. So this is really dangerous for them. Wang's going to have to do something. Adam and Wang is going to fight up here.
Black taking some damage as well, but Reflection comes in with a 12-ton for the support. And there's the ricochet. So one more shot on that 12-ton will kill Wang here. Down he goes.
Gosh, it is now a 3v3. No, make that a 2v3.
Okay. Looking at this, the 12-ton has to reload shortly here in just a moment. But this is still something that they can win. BM is so low. BM gets this kill. It's too much. They should not allow that to happen.
Go down. Yu is right behind him. Can Adam do? Adam does finish him off. Like we said, it's a back and forth fight.
But it's just too much. 2 Bulldogs versus an IS-3.
Oh, wow.
And there you go. Or rather, 150, 100 in a Bulldog. Still 2 very fast firing tanks versus the slowest firing tank in the competitive meta. In that IS-3, that was a good fight. But I have to say, a bit surprised at how EL decided to tackle the attack. They went very slowly, didn't pick either capture point, as if they were like so confused by the Bulldog picks that they wanted to take their time.
I know.
But on this map, we talked about the attacking side as somewhat of an advantage. If you rush to the capture point, yes. But if you take your time and your opponent kind of scouts you out and surrounds you, then no. One of the reasons why the attacking side has such an advantage on this map is because when you get to the capture point, you can set up a defense there. It's like you're defending the capture point that you're capturing. But if you get there too slow, then you can't actually set up that defense, and then you get kind of surrounded and cornered, and what we just saw happens.
Well, like I said, I mean, I think thinking about the Bulldogs and them going down south like that, yes, EL was able to, start doing some damage on them, but that really threw off EL's stride, basically. They had a plan, like you said, and then it's like, oh, wait, we got Bulldogs. Oh, crap, nope, and then they just weren't able to follow through with what they wanted to do, and very, very well done. I'm surprised that they brought the fight right to the middle of the city instead of, at one of the capture points as well.
Yeah, it was just unusual. We just simply don't see this type of strategy that EL showed us in this game. So I think we're going to see something different going into game 2 on this map.
All right. Well,
game 6 overall.
All right, game 2 on this map will be game number 6. And now the score is
3-2.
3-2, right?
On EL Gaming's favor.
Yes, 3-2.
So 3 IS-3s in the T-32, same lineup of tanks versus 3 IS-3s in the 5100 are starting to roll in here for Reforn.
The AMX 5100s.
Let's see if EL goes for the 12-ton again. I would expect to see it.
I think Reform's going to go with the 2 Bulldogs again. Them hesitating right now. I think it's going to be the Bulldog.
I think you're right.
Woof, woof.
It worked out for them last game, but I don't think EL Gaming is going to be as caught off guard this time, and I think they're definitely going to commit to one capture point or the other a little bit faster. Let's see. They still have 70 seconds to decide, so they could definitely actually build the tension for quite some time.
Oh, the tension is so thick in here.
Baby is like, I say do it. Wong's like, I don't know. We'll see. A lot of discussion going on in that Reform booth right now.
And you know what? That must be really, really refreshing for them. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I knew it. They were going to go with the 2 Bulldogs. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Just leave it as it is. And they did great on the Bulldogs. They're going to do it again. So
keep in mind, already at this point, they've won 1 game on this map. So at the very least, they are going to be able to play on the attack. So that's a big relief. Even if they lose this game, they will have the opportunity to switch sides. So that was a big moment, and honestly, they played very well. I worry for EL Gaming if they're actually just going to keep playing this kind of slow style in Ghost Town. I don't think that's how attack... I mean, it's just simply how EL has not played attack like this for the entire tournament, so it's really unusual.
Yes, it is, but you know what? They have had practice, and you know what? Here we go into gate number 6. Okay, guys, set number 6. It is 3-2. EL is still up 1 game. They're on the attack one more time, and here we go. Ghost down.
All right. Fox and Spring on the 5100s as usual. 99 and JY for Reform. And Reflection, again, is going to be on the 12 ton.
I really do like these Bulldog picks here. I think it really works to their advantage. However, I don't see them doing the same strategy twice.
Well, they are sending them down towards the south, but they haven't committed to that yet. Although it looks like the more and more I look at it, they really are going to just try to come around and assassinate these 5100s.
Okay, I think yeah.
Okay.
Elong.
You know, Elong.
I think Elong expects this.
They're, again, playing very slowly, but a little bit more forward than last game. They're trying to catch those Bulldogs from behind, but also they're moving towards that capture point. They actually have a pretty clear path to capture point 2 right now, but they're waiting. They want to pick off those Bulldogs. They're leaving IS-3s instead of 5100. This is a good plan for EL Gaming.
Okay, here come the 2 Bulldogs. They're going to come around and see if they can pick them off. But again, like you said, they're going to be IS-3s there. They're going to be able to see the back of... Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, with this sort of almost tea time-esque setup here, it's going to be hard for these Bulldogs to find damage, but Fox is in a very vulnerable spot here.
Oh, gosh. BM taking so much focus fire, and he's going to go down first.
Good
M1
accuracy.
as well. Fox is just going to go ahead and use the rest. He's got 1 shell left.
Yeah, I feel like what we're seeing here, oh my god, even the 12-ton coming in. What we're seeing is EL Gaming's accuracy at its finest. Almost no one else would have been able to challenge that kind of fight, but they actually did it and won it.
Yes, and here we go. That's a schoolyard fight, guys.
It's like one of those old scraps. And we're going to see Wong take a kill, but he's going to go down, and this is a really good setup here for EL. It's definitely a fight that, with these Bulldogs, Reforn could turn it around, but it's going to be difficult to do so.
Oh, gosh. Baby does try to come around and help out, but no. He is denied from that fun. Nice is going to take some damage, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Elong is going to come around and see if they could finish off
both tanks on reload right now, Susie.
Oh, gosh.
So this is obviously going to be a big problem. They're almost at the exact same cooldown timer, which is pretty funny. Goodbye, 99, and you.
You, where are you going, you? Well, you don't have much time. It is there's still 4 minutes and 42 seconds, right?
Yeah.
And
he has to survive for that long, and no one can capture. It looks like they're just going to go for the capture. This is pointless to try to chase him.
So what is you going to do? Going to try to
He's going to try to do some... He's got a lot of rounds, Susie. I guess if he hit every tank perfectly and didn't die, it could happen. He's going to try for it.
He's going to try for 1, but no. They knew he was coming up, and...
Very well done.
Very, very well done. EL Gaming go ahead and take their 4th win.
And now they're at match point. 1 more win will do it, but we are going to switch sides. It's now going to be EL Gaming that has to play against this team on the defense.
Yes,
and
that is true.
It's going to be, of course, Reforn on the attack. You know, we personally feel, of course, we talked about this as an attack-favored map. It's not massively attack-favored, but I definitely would feel more comfortable playing this on the attack.
That's exactly how I feel as well. It just, they kind of set the pace of how the game is going to go in terms of strategy. And so, yeah, here we go. This is going to be game number... I can't do math. 7, yes.
Game 7, yep.
Game number 7, and
right
they're
now,
going to switch sides.
If Reforn wins both games, we will go to that tiebreaker, but only if they win both games. No lives left, no chances left. This is it. No more mistakes. They have to win both games. They've forced this position. They've gotten to the point where they can actually be on attack now on this map. So it's not inconceivable, especially with how well they played the first game on Ghost Town. They clearly know the map very well. For them to force that tiebreaker, absolutely possible. Elong wants to stop this, wants to prevent this.
I don't know, man. EL Gaming, so good. Again, number 2, they're used to this kind of international setting. They've played against all different teams. I'm sure a bunch of Chinese teams and a bunch of international teams. And so I think they're very prepared. And my gut feeling is that EL Gaming is going to take this.
Let's see what tank picks we're going to see from Reforn on the attack now.
Okay, well, here we go. Like we said, they have now switched sides. We are on Ghost Town still, but Reforn on the attack.
Yes. A much slower pick here for these 2 teams.
I mean, there's
bound to be some IS-3s.
Let me guess. IS-3. Oh, T29.
And IS-3. 2 IS-3s. Reforn also locking in some IS-3s. Let's see if they are going to be trying to run 4 IS-3s or if Reforn wants to do T32s here. I'm going to find out in just a moment. 5100s coming in for EL already. LTTBs, they're loving these tier 7s right now.
Well, all right, well, what's the tier 7 that's going to come out for EL Gaming?
Yeah.
Just an IS?
A standard IS, the oldest version. You know, Reflection looks pretty angry. about that. I hope it wasn't a mistake.
IS.
Interesting. I would expect to see a second LTTB, but also a Bulldog is possible here. We've seen both compositions of both LTTBs and both Bulldogs, but the more common is one LTTB and one Bulldog, and that's what we're going to see here.
Yeah,
Bulldog
there we
will
go.
be the last one to round it out. Okay. Well, this is really unique from EL. We've never seen them run this composition before, and to see an IS in there gives you another beefy tank. The T29. I don't think we've ever really seen this.
No,
I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't know if this is a good choice.
It's kind of like it's kind of like the German Tier 7, like the Tiger.
Yeah.
Right, and it's just got an extremely thick frontal turret, and it has really good mantle armor. But hull armor is relatively weak, so we're gonna see how it comes in this next set as we go into game number 7. We're going to have to see how things pan out.
All sorts of unique picks today, Susie, going into this league. All right, let's go into this game 7.
Okay, so set number 7. And this could be it. If EL Gaming wins this, they win the series, and it'll be the last set. And like we said here, strange lineup. The 5100s, IS3s, I expect those. That's fine. This IS is like a wannabe IS3. It's like a Tier 7, almost there IS.
Sure, an IS3 is called an IS3 for a reason. It's the improved version of the IS, right?
Yeah.
It's the newest edition. And we're talking about tanks like in-game and like, you know, Wargaming made a new version. I mean, no, so like historically the new version of the initial IS. So it's an older tank, it's not as strong. You can see, you look at its layout, you can see why. Doesn't have as much plating either, but it is still pretty tanky at 1230. Now, the LTTB and the Bulldog, really interesting. They're actually going to rush the capture point with these two tanks, these two quick tanks. If they lose them, it's not the end of the world, but, you know, this is something that EL needs to identify quickly, and they already have. They push Baby and you back.
But that definitely causes EL Gaming to react. And this is exactly what RefornGaming wants to do. They want to make sure that they can catch EL Gaming off their game and kind of, you know, make sure that they mess up their strategy, if you will. So
now they're going to hide in this valley. They're going to do the T32 strat, except with 3 IS3s. 3 IS3s in there capturing, going to bring the capture point to 26 seconds now at this point.
Whoa.
This is a good strategy. It's something we've seen in the past a lot on this map. But
we've seen EL Gaming do this before.
Yeah, we've seen pretty much almost every team that's played on this map try this at least once. Horsemen used to do this. We've also seen Run try this once or twice.
Okay, they need to get in there now. They have 10 seconds until this base capture is completed. What is EL Gaming doing? They are taking damage. That's exactly what they're doing.
JY is protecting these as well. A very haphazard move in here by EL Gaming. Reflection goes down. They do deny the base capture, but at a huge hit point cost.
Oh gosh, JY is going to go down. They want to get rid of that threat here. Baby is also, but base capture is going down again. 10 seconds left. There are 3 IS3s sitting here. Black is going to have to go ahead and do something.
Uh-oh, here comes Adam from behind.
Here we go, 2. Oh, the timer keeps getting reset, guys.
But with the 5100 over here doing some extra damage and Black trying to find his way in as well, I don't think that Reform is going to be able to hold on to this. However, they've done enough damage to the EL tanks that they might just be able to win this by straight up elimination. Adam is very low.
Adam is incredibly low. Yu is going to try to shoot him from behind. He is reloaded, and there you go. One last shot.
Spring is just going to go down here. He's actually reloading as well.
He's got nothing right now. He just needs to run away. And
Juan Ren, though, making some plays with the IS. Takes out another tank here. Wow. This is actually a game that EL can still, theoretically, in theory, win this game. It's possible.
Oh, God, I don't know.
Not anymore,
being the last man standing. That was so smart by Reform to do that, to just get, like I said, to try to catch EL and make sure that they can't do anything.
This was a really great fake. This was an insanely cool strategy for the map. Really, really like how Reform is playing it.
Yeah.
However, this is something you can only do once. And
they picked a perfect game to do it once, man.
Yeah.
They knew they need to win this. Otherwise, EL Gaming wins the series.
Now, EL is not going to fall for this again. However, what happens if Reforn rushes the middle point and then actually goes for the middle point and tricks EL in that sense? That's kind of a scary thing that you can do on this map. This is why the attacking side has this inherent mind game advantage, because on the defensive side, you want to set up defensively to deal with certain strategies. You could predict them, but if you predict wrong or you judge the situation wrong, the attacker gets into such a good setup. We saw how good that setup was with those IS-3s. EL was forced to attack into a choke point where there was coverage with the 5100 and 3 IS-3s blasted. Reflection went down in no time flat. And this is just how you get ahead and how you win how you just win an elimination game.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh. RefornGaming back in the game now. They wanted to make sure that EL's not going to take it.
I gotta say, man, I look at this and I thought EL were going to be the clear favorites going into this. We've never seen this team before. EL looking insanely strong in APAC Asia Gold, and now this team is actually bringing it to potentially the final game, one win away from going to that tiebreaker.
Okay, EL, if they want this, they need to do it now. That is what they absolutely need to do. So, all right, let's get the IS-3s in there. Let's get the 5100s in there and take a look at what our last picks are going to be.
All right, we're going to see an IS again for EL Gaming. So we're going down that Tier 7 route. 2 5100s. Probably going to see the T29, but they could go with, realistically, any other Tier 7. They could also bring their own Bulldog or an LTTB.
Oh, a T32.
Okay.
All right, so the last Tier 7 on EL Gaming's side. All right, we got a Bulldog over for Reforn.
Could be an LTTB again. I think that's probably what we're going to see. There it is.
Yep.
I think they want EL to think that they're going to do the same thing again. I think that's what they want them to think.
And T30, the 29.
Yeah, the T29. All right, well, Susie, this could be for all the marbles here for Reforn. This is their last chance. They have to win this game. They looked really solid, but it was a tricky plan. And like I said, I don't feel like you can get away with this twice. Fool me once, you know, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, or something like that.
Something along those lines.
Something like that. Like, EL Gaming is not going to be fooled again. But if they take the mind game one step further and actually go for the center capture point, and EL thinks it's a trick and they rotate to the outside one, that could cost them the game. It's really tough on the defending side here. Even with the win here, by the way, for Reforn, even if they win, we have to go to a third map. So this is not the last game by any means, but it's their last chance. They have to win it.
Oh gosh, there's so much on the line, and look at their faces. They know it as well. You know, just looking at the tanks, though, I'm not sure how I feel about this T32 on EL Gaming. It's a small map. There's no, you know, it's a small city map. There's no big hills. There's nothing really for them to hide behind except for buildings. And T32 is not really, you know.
It's good for certain positions, but on the defense, I don't like it as much. There's a few pieces of rubble and a few hills that you can use it on, but it's very vulnerable otherwise, especially if you get caught up in crossfire going through one of the streets. Then you can get caught from the side by a 5100, get blasted down in seconds. I would honestly prefer the IS-3 comp where we actually see 4 IS-3s. That's what we saw a lot in our Gold series, but we're seeing different things today. All the teams in the interviews are saying, you're not going to see the same EL Gaming. You're not going to see the same Reform that you studied.
Yeah.
We've got strategies prepared.
Yep, that is absolutely correct. That's how I'm feeling right now. I did talk to the Korean team, and he was just like, you know what? All the things that you've been seeing, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be able to see it today because everyone's got their own playoff strategies, their final strategies. But you know what? We are going to go ahead to this next game and see if they can do it. All right, guys, the score is now 4-3. EL Gaming is up. Like we said, one more win will get them that series, and they are now on the defense.
All right, our last game on Ghost Town. 4-3 currently, as you just mentioned. Reform's last chance. Now let's see what they're going to do with it. We already talked about the tanks. It's the same players, the same tanks, same lineup, so we don't need to get into that. We're going to see the LTTB and the Bulldog rush the center capture point. Now, will they follow up and actually contest it, or are they going to do the same thing? It looks more if they're going to do the same.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and try to start that, while the rest of the team, we have Reform going to head up towards base capture number 1.
All right, so this is something that EL does have to respond to. They can't just let this go.
Really? Oh, and that is a response like you said, that poor LTTB was like, guys, I was just kidding. I didn't really mean to be here.
This is a bit different, though. This time, the IS-3s are actually going around to catch the responding tanks. They're going to get the T-29.
Yeah. Oh, what a hit. That T-39 took some critical damage.
But you know what? Reform is getting a bit ahead of themselves here, I have to say. Okay, Reflection and Nice go down, though.
Oh, that's 2.
BM is still alive. He's still alive with 166. Fox does kill JY. Yu is exposed here. Can they get the shot?
Can he get the shot? That is the question of the evening. M1 is taking a ton of damage as well on this IS-3. And
Fox with the kill. So we'll actually Spring with the kill.
Yeah,
Fox supporting.
And Spring is just going to finish off the job. Kills off Yu as well.
This is just a unique sort of game we're watching right now. We almost never see big fights like this on this map. And EL in the lead right now, 17 to 1908. Like in hit points, they're massively ahead. And it's 4-2 now, and it's a Bulldog and a 5100 that's on reload.
Oh gosh.
And they're on the attack,
The
so they can't try to escape.
All right, goodbye, baby. BB, you're just gonna have to take you and your cool headset away because I think this is going to be it. He's gonna run away, but what can he do? 99.
This is the most important moment for Reform, perhaps in this tournament. Can they make a miracle happen? Can they shock the world in this moment?
Okay, 99 is going to be up again in about 3 seconds, and Baby's so far away. He's like, please leave me alone.
They can't escape. They can't try to use the clock.
I want to point out that Guan Ren is still alive with 4 HP.
Yeah, so that's probably their primary target. They can knock him out first, makes things a lot easier. But
you know what?
The second they're spotted, they're going to be targeted. He wants to take the best shots possible. Look at that. 99 is waiting for probably to kill the 5100 that he sees first.
Okay, and Baby is going to come up, and he's going to take a shot.
On Fox, but it's not enough.
And look how fast that Bulldog is compared to some of the hefty big tier 8s. I mean, this guy can just shoot and run.
Yeah.
He's going to zip around this map and see what he can do, just try to survive. But you know what? Again, the clock is ticking down. It is 3 minutes and 52 seconds, and clock is on EL Gaming's side.
It looks like they're about to find 99, but he doesn't know where they are. He's backing up, but they're behind him.
He can hear it. Baby goes down.
And okay, good shot so far for 99, but this is the last tank standing versus 4
look
tanks.
At that. Crossfire, and that's going to be GG. EL Gaming goes ahead and wins this series.
They look pretty pumped. A closer series than I think most, Asia Tanks fans would have expected, but EL comes out on top. Man, what a great series. And EL, I have to say, EL thinking outside the box a little bit here. Playing a little bit more of, different strategies, not the exact same strategy we used to see every single time, like standard play. No, not today.
Not today. Not today. And like I said, they've been telling me they haven't been showing us the real strategies that they've been working on.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, when you're in first place in the league and you've already secured your spot, you might as well just keep playing the same way. Don't show your good strategies in televised matches so that nobody knows what you're going to do when you actually appear.
I absolutely agree, and now we have EL Gaming being the first team to make it to the finals. We're going to see them tomorrow and see what kind of strategy they have for us then. But
they have secured at least their second place. They have done it.
Oh, goodness.
But they want that first place. And for Reforn, the story ends here. Come all the way to Korea.
Well, no, they can still fight for third place.
That's true, actually. There is a third place match. I forgot about that.
There is a third place match. They can fight for third place, and it will not be for naught. The fact that they even made it here, this is the first time that this team has made it to the APAC Asia Finals. So, I mean, all right, guys. Well, here we go. We will come back after a while, and we will be back with KONGDOO versus Caren Tigers.